What's up, winners? On this channel, we learn to see through manipulation, have fun doing it. There is an incredible amount of manipulation going on in the new Harry and Meghan interviews. Let's check it out. There's some really important points here.
You touch your husband's hand in just the way I knew that you would be looking after each other if I went places. But the connection that you have with people is they know you had suffered too, personally. Contemplating killing yourself is what ideation was. And I'm dancing around this because I can see you're uncomfortable with my even going there. Do you?
What the freak? Look how creepy her expression is. Look at this. Look at that. That is terrifying. And again, I want you guys to look at her face and ask your instincts, just your gut. Does that look like someone who's feeling bad about their past, who's looking like into themselves like that was a hard time? Is that what that expression lines up with? Absolutely not. That looks to me like a stone-faced, psychotic, aggressive expression. Just ask your gut. That's all you need for that.
I understand why you are, though. I wasn't expecting it, but I understand why you are, because there is a...
Boom! There we go. I wasn't expecting it, like that passive-aggressive. She didn't want that woman to bring it up. That was not the topic of this interview. The topic of the interview is to use other manipulation tactics.
Through line, I think. And when you've been through any level of pain or trauma, I believe part of our healing journey, certainly part of mine, is being able to be really open about it. And I have a really...
Pain or trauma. All right, some buzzword nonsense. Notice how she's using those words like pain, trauma. To me, those are like badges of honor. Again, I've talked about Meghan, how she's a bit of chameleon. She used to be the rich girl in the early 2000s, and then she became the victim because that's what became popular. She grew up poor, she's a victim, yada, yada, yada. So now that's how one gains status. The other thing is this talk about it, you have to talk about it. Again, I think that's often self-indulgent. Just a random example, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart has a book, I can't believe I'm not making this up or something like that. It's super funny, it's great. Long story short, Kevin Hart had a crazy past. And he doesn't complain. He's just working hard, he's doing things. Where on the flip side, Harry and Meghan have minimal difficulties. They've grown up really rich and they constantly talk about it. My point being is it's not a real one-to-one thing talking about things versus actually having experienced real hardship. I think it's often a self-indulgent thing. It's a thing that people who grew up rich, which there's nothing wrong with growing up rich, are into. Like, oh, and when I was a child, my parents didn't, they gave my brother a bigger sausage and more cookies than me, like Harry says.
Scrape the surface on my experience, but I do think that I would never want someone else to feel that way, and I would never want someone else to be making those sort of plans, and I would never want someone else to not...
Very disingenuous. I would never want someone else to feel that way. She could not care less.
Believed. So if me voicing what I have
Nonsense.
overcome, save someone,
or
asks or encourage someone in their life to really genuinely check in on them.
Does that line up? Does her body language line up with what she's saying? If I encourage them, does it help them? Help them, right? No.
And not assume that the appearance is good, so everything's okay, then that's worth it. I'll take it.
You might notice, I try to be positive. This one really annoys me because the manipulation level's off the charts. And to me, I think the whole purpose of this interview, we're gonna get into more of it, it's connecting their wants to awful things like children, coming to harm, and using it as a way to push forward their agenda. See you guys soon.